This episode brought to you by the Pirated Broadcast Network.
In other words, the two beast powers that are described in detail in Revelation chapter 13, the beast that comes up out of the sea is described as the beast, and the beast that comes up out of the earth in Revelation 13 verse 11 and following from there is described as the false prophet. And we find Jesus coming in Revelation 19 executing judgment upon the beast and the false prophet, and we read of them being thrown into a lake of fire at that time when he returns. And then at that time we read in Revelation chapter 20 that the dragon will be taken, thrown into a great abyss, and be held in that abyss for 1,000 years. And during that period of time, the dragon, described also as the devil, the deceiver, or Satan, will not be able to attack or deceive any person who is alive at that time. And then at the end of this 1,000 years, as you come through to the latter part of Revelation 20, you find that Jesus is pictured as returning to this earth, and he comes with his people, and a lake of fire comes and envelops the whole of the earth and purifies this earth. And so the sequence of events that we actually have in Revelation 19 and 20 is the second coming of Jesus, the beast and false prophet facing damnation, as it were, in this lake of fire, then the dragon held as a captive for 1,000 years, then Jesus Christ coming to the earth again with his people, and a lake of fire enveloping the earth and cleansing the earth. As a result of that, we find a new act of creation after this fire has enveloped the earth, where we read of a new heaven and a new earth.
All this has been repeatedly predicted by the seers, and all the prophecies which have been made at different times are roughly similar. Conspicuously, all agree on one thing, that these events will start at a time when all believe that peace is at hand. Is the future preordained, or have the seers seen God's master plan? Everything within the omniversum is subject to cosmic cycles. Creation delivers everything according to the principle of duality. As day follows night, a plan for the evolution of humanity's development exists. Likewise, in the plan of creation, there is a cosmic night and a cosmic day. The last cosmic night of creation lasted about 26,000 years. During this cosmic night, man was separated from his divine self. Since the 1980s, we have entered the so-called ending of the cosmic night. During this ending, the spiritual world will be testing everyone for the feelings in their heart. After the year 2011, a cosmic day will begin. This cosmic day will announce itself with a sudden, incredible light, and humanity will become conscious. The earth will be illuminated, and creation will reveal its completion. The final stone of completion of the four-sided Pyramid of Giza is the symbol for the completion of the process of becoming human. However, the final cornerstone of the fifth dimension, time, is still missing. Consequently, creation will find its completion in the return of the extraterrestrial gardens of evolution through the programming into the fifth dimension.
Now, speaking extraterrestrially, they are here to remind us that there are other things far beyond us, which of course are necessary if we are to evolve into our rightful ascendancy in the things to come. In other words, moving from the third dimension into the fourth and the fifth dimension. UFOs per se have always been there. We have forgotten that because we have returned to amnesia and we have returned to illusion. We are now about to walk or talk or act out of that so that we become realism again, that indeed we have the powers that we once had, and we can take them into ourselves again to change the dilemma that we face as a nation, as a peoples, and as a planet. We must do this again as the people. We cannot rely upon our governments anymore. Governments basically are defunct. We don't like to think so, but they are. Governments are also a captive of many of the malefic extraterrestrials. That was true during the Third Reich. It is now true of the United States government, and I don't know how many more. It is time to turn to those who have our best interests at heart. And those who do have our best interests at heart are known as the guardian forces. The guardian forces outnumber the malefic or bad extraterrestrial forces somewhere around 10 to 1. And yet we do not turn to them, in time of need. Again, to invoke them, again to get them to step in our direction and to assist us, we must do so through prayer and meditation and love and light and balance. And if we do that again, then we invoke the power, if you will, of the guardian forces. We give them the necessary power which they need to deter the malefic forces, including the wormwood planet. These things, of course, are very simple, and I think for some people they're too simple. They would rather think that we have to turn to some advanced type of technology or some advanced type of weaponry. Those days are over. If we are to graduate as a planet and a peoples, we must return to the godly principles that we once exercised and had when we first came here, or before we actually came here from the fourth dimension into the third. We must return to that godliness.
We are in the last days, and the battle of the spiritual powers to win over souls has started. Old and new prophecies are to be understood symbolically. The Last Judgment has already begun. The experience will be different for everyone. The time factor rapidly decreases during these last years, and every one of us will reap increasingly faster the harvest of the seeds that we have sown in order to fulfill our karma. A purification never experienced before will affect all areas of life. Apart from the external chaos caused by wars, earthquakes, and other environmental disasters, the truth of the so-called good citizen will fall apart. No one will be able to hold on to anything. Few will realize that we are right now living in the time where the souls will be separated.
Now, instrumental in that, of course, are the ones that we know as UFOs, or the extraterrestrial consciousness. We know, too, that there are two types of extraterrestrial consciousness. One is good, or you might say they have our best interests at heart. The other one does not, and they are the malefic ones. I don't want to go too far with that. I would only say that they represent the two faces of God. It is the same energy. It's our interpretation of that energy, and it's up to us to deal with it in a responsible way. I would like to lead this also into a prognostication which has been about for thousands and thousands of years. Going back to the references of the wormwood planet, I mentioned one, of course. I mentioned the Bible, Revelations chapter 8, verse 11. I would also like to make reference to the Sumerian text. If you were to review the Sumerian text, which is the first recorded history, of course, of what is known as wormwood, you will find then that it progresses up through the Chaldean chronicles, Babylonian chronicles, and on into the Judean culture and chronicles. And, of course, the latest of that being the Bible under Revelations chapter 8, verse 11. Now, what is the wormwood planet? Well, there's many speculations about the wormwood planet, but I don't think that speculatively we can deny that it exists, because there's proof, although not written, but there's enough proof at hand and at large at this point in time that world government is fully aware of the so-called wormwood planet.